Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming along. This is the final session of our Dementia Knowledge Network Dementia Action Week little chat sessions. So Sarah and I have conducted now 9 of these with a different topic each session. So thank you for coming along. Today we are talking about carer support. But before we launch in, Sarah and I would respectfully like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. And we'd like to pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging. So today we have Rodney Friedman as a guest presenter, and Rodney is one of the case managers from the carer support team at VMCH. And Rodney will be talking to us about carer support broadly and then drilling down to a bit of information about the Support for Carers program in the Eastern Metropolitan region of Melbourne. So I might hand over to Rodney and he'll run through this for us and then we can ask some questions at the end. Thanks, Rodney.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and thanks, Sarah, for allowing me to share some of this information. It's really important to, I guess, to start with, to acknowledge what you as carers do on a daily basis. Quite often we don't recognise ourselves as carers. You know, it's what we do. It's who we look after, whether it's a partner, a wife, son, daughter, parent, you know, or even a friend that you know, a neighbour that you're caring for, a close friend who's in need of some supports and you're there to help them, short term or even long term. Now, the government, both federally and also in Victoria, acknowledge the work that you as carers do. Okay, and that's why they've developed some programs so that, you know, you can have access to support rather than, you know, increase the numbers of people that have to, you know, access the aged care or the disability sector, you know, system. Okay, some of the supports that, you know, can be provided within carer support can be anything from personal care, respite care, which may be in-home services, so you can get out for an hour or two and do something nice for yourself. Excuse me. Residential respite, if you know you're in a real 24/7 caring role and you might need to have a week off or a couple of weeks off or surgery coming up and you need someone to assist with that caring role, that might be an option. Home care, you know, even something as simple as that, you know, when so much is going on in your lives, you know, a simple thing like some extra support with home care might help. So it's quite broad and general. And what we do is if you register, again, either with Carer Gateway, which is the national program, or with one of the Support for Carers program, in the Eastern regions, it's through VMCH. We will assist you in your own personal needs. Now, the funding is limited and it is sort of short-term episodic, but it is very much a care and need basis. So, you know, and we will talk you through it. The other area we can assist with is emotional support and advocacy. So I've been in my role now for just over 9 years, and one of the things I find really helpful for carers is trialling services, especially if they've never had any, or linking them in with services. I mean, the amount of people that don't understand the aged care system and my aged care and how packages work and all those, how the aged care assessments work, we can help guide you through it. We can help talk you through it, help you understand it. And actually, you know, in some instances, if it's what you need, even to an extent of holding your hand through it. Okay, so that's where the support is there. It's there for you and it's there to support you in your caring role. We're not there to take it over. You know, we understand for some of you, the role is 24/7. You know, like with, you know, in many of your cases with dementia, you know, we understand the issues involved. We can help you with some strategies. and that's on top of the support you might already be getting, whether it's through Caladinia or through Elizabeth or through Dementia Australia. The other option you've got is using Carers Victoria or Carers Vic, and that's another area of support. So if we can move down to the next slide, please. So with Carer Gateway, and that's the national program, that's probably the first point of call. It's a fairly new program, but that's one that will provide you practical information and advice. It can help with services and funding of services. Again, there is limitations to the funding, but it's about showing, it might be as simple as the person you're caring for is just coming out of hospital and needs some additional support for a short period, and they can help with that. Or they've come out of hospital and for a few weeks, or, it may even be an ongoing thing, but for a short period, they may help you with some short-term funding of equipment. That's another area, okay? They also have free telephone counselling services. These supports are about you as the carers, okay? We all know packages and most other things that happen are for the individual who needs the care. Whether it's the Support for Carers program or Carer Gateway, our primary focus is on you and your needs. You and what's going to help you get through in your caring role. Okay, next slide, please, Sarah. So who is a carer? Well, anyone can be a carer. So, it might be someone you're looking at, you're assisting with a disability, mental health, a medical condition, or someone who's just frail age. It can be a role that you're living with the person and it's a 24-hour role, or it might be something that you're visiting the person once a week or once a day and doing things for them, or taking them to medical appointments. So you don't actually have to be, related. You don't have to be living with them. You just have to be able to say, these are the things I'm doing for that person. So there's not like you need to tick ABC box of what you need to do. Next slide, please. So the other area of support is the Support for Carers program. That's our program, and that's the state-funded program. So the state government legislated this program specifically designed for carers. Every region has its own provider that's providing this system. In the Eastern region, it's VMCH, and that's that's everything from Bandura, Maroondah, Knox, Yarra Ranges, okay, as areas. And again, as I said, we're here to support you. If you've got a cat, it might also be something as simple as you've got a home care package with a provider, and it doesn't matter which provider, and you're waiting for a higher level package, but are currently, for example, on a level 2, waiting for a level 3, and in the interim, you might need a few extra supports. We may be able to help with that. The other thing to remember is just because we are case managers at VMCH, our primary responsibility and our goal is supporting you as carers. And we will go and link you in whichever service is going to help you best. So we won't necessarily just link you in with VMCH. We will link you in with the provider or the area that is going to be most suited to you, or a provider that you wish to liaise with. Okay, so we want you to understand that as well. There's the number there for our intake team, and they'll go through a few questions regarding your information and where you live, just for eligibility's sake, and also naturally the person you care for, their details, their name, address, date of birth, their medical condition, and what supports you're needing with to start with. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've gone through the different area support. The other area that we're really focused on in the Support for Carers program is with events, care events. And we have a designated team who constantly provide and create events. Currently, most of them naturally are via Zoom, but hopefully in the new year, we'll be back to face-to-face. And there are events, everything from, they might be a couple of days away, or they might be a lunch, or cooking classes, all sorts of activities that you can enjoy as carers, meeting other carers, having a chat. You know, everyone's situation is very different, but you're all in one area is all the same. You're all caring for someone, and there are other people in similar situations who are going through the same caring role as you. And the reason this support is there for you, whether it be events or whether it be supports through us, and it's the primary role is we want you to consider your own health and well-being as a priority. Everyone does it. Oh yeah, no, I care for him. He's my priority. Well, the issue with that is if something happens to you as a carer, the bottom line is what's going to happen to that person you're caring for if you can't do it, or if you're suddenly unwell, or if you need to go to hospital. Okay? They're not things we want to think about, but the priority has to also be about you, giving you that break, giving you that strength, giving you some enjoyment so you can carry on the next day. Next slide, please. So here are some of the contact numbers that you can write down for yourself, and I know that Sarah and Elizabeth would have them as well. So there is the VMCH Carer Services program, and that's their intake number. The Carer Gateway, you can either hop on the website of them, and that'll run you through exactly the types of supports available. And that's their national number. Again, registration, it takes a little bit of time. It might take 20 minutes or so. It might take a bit longer, but it's very simple. And the process is about supporting you. And finally, the Carers Victoria website, and that'll give you a good understanding of what Carer Vic have to offer. And also, you know, what if you're not in the Eastern region, what other areas and who the providers are in that area. So I guess that's very much it in a nutshell. I've had to sort of condense what normally I would do as a presentation in a fairly longer period of time, but I do want to allow time for questions from you if you have any. So thank you.
Thanks, Rodney.
Can I ask, is anyone linked with one of the carer programs?
No. No.
Did you know about them?
No, not a lot. I've heard of Carer Gateway before, but not the VMCH or the, yeah.
Yeah. So it's short and long-term support, Julie. So it might be like you mentioned that, you know, you've got a situation coming up and there might be an area where you needed support there. We could assist.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, it's always good to register. It might not be something, you know, with Carer Gateway, they work on a 12-month cycle. With us, once you're registered, you stay registered. Now, you may not require ongoing case management. So you'd sort of come in and out of case management as you need it, and you may come in and out of funding as you may need it, but you're always linked. So you're going to receive the emails regarding events, and just call and book if you want to and put your name down. You know, if
Is this since,
yeah, go on.
I'm sorry. If you have something else, like say the NDIS,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter? Mm-hmm.
Carer programs are supporting you. See, NDIS supports the person you care for.
Yep.
Home care package in aged care supports the person that's being cared for. Our program's specifically designed to support you, which the
Awesome.
other programs don't do. So yes, you can be linked. We have numerous clients who are linked with NDIS, with aged care, all of the above, and we can still assist them. And we can help navigate the different systems and give them, you know, suggestions. We won't tell you what to do. We will offer you suggestions. We'll offer you options. At the end of the day, it's all still for you to choose what you want to accept, what you don't want to accept, and what you take or leave.
Rodney, I have a question for you. So if somebody is really struggling in their caring role, but they don't know exactly what type of support they need and want, what happens in that instance? So if they call you guys, they call the intake team, and they just know that life is really challenging at the moment, what happens next after they've completed intake?
Okay, so they would be then go onto our wait list, which is then priority. We use a priority tool to categorize the need. And then it would be taken on, allocated to a case manager who would then call the person and then arrange to do a home visit or over the phone care assessment. And that's when we can discuss their needs. And, you know, with a lot of the case managers, sometimes it's just about having someone to talk to and debrief with and have a cry to. I say to carers all the time, I'm case managing for short periods, call me if you need to and have that reach, because we all know how difficult things are at times. And we know that if we ring a family member or a friend, they go into panic mode where all we want to do is vent for 20 minutes. That's all we want to do. Vent, get it out of our system, we can move on. And we don't have that option, because if we call someone else, they're going to go into panic mode. So that's you know, a type of, that's where the emotional support can be so important.
Rodney, is there a cost to these programs?
There's no cost to our program. And I don't think there's a cost to Carer Gateway. If there is, it's very minor. But to our program, there's no cost. So if, for example, you're needing some short-term supports in, let's say, respite care. Now, a respite service costs about an hour. For an hour, it's anywhere from $50 to $70 an hour. We will fund that for a short period at no cost to you. Okay, so it might be even something you want to try. If you've got, say, an NDIS plan and you think, I'd really like to try and see if this might help as well, but it's no point me, you know, going to NDIS and asking for extra supports if I've not tried it. We might assist with that. And then you can go, wow, this has made a huge difference. This is worth fighting for within the NDIS to get more funds for, as an example. But no, there's no cost. And that's, you know, that's where it's a huge relief of people. Even with, you know, residential care, you know, although they say it's, you know, there is a cost of about 52, I think it's 25 at the moment a day, which is the general basic fee. We can help cover that cost, which NDIS won't cover. We know that home care packages also won't cover.
I have one more question, sorry, and then I'll leave you alone. So if somebody is going through a crisis period and they've exhausted all of the funds that were allocated through the Support for Carers program through VMCH, are they then eligible for the Carer Gateway as well if things continue to be really stressful and difficult? Oh, great.
So they're eligible for both. And look, they can use both at the same time even. But to me, if you're using both at the same time, you're basically using up all your resources at once. But yeah, the two are very separate. One's the national and one's the state funded program. So the two are very independent and you can utilize and access both supports if you need.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. That was my question as well. Can you use both programs if you need to? So it's good to know.
And most people do.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people do. They'll access, and they might access them for different reasons. So they might access one for some equipment hire and the other for some respite or personal care assistance. I know we've also helped with some home modifications. Again, the funding's limited, but you know, if you've got an OT assessment and there's certain modifications, we may be able to, you know, assist with funding through that.
Great. Does anyone else have any questions for Rodney?
Don't be scared, and please you know, find the time to ring, because you know, I know from experience it's really hard to accept that you are carers. Okay, it's what you do, and you do on a daily basis. We don't judge, we understand, and we're not here to take away your caring role. We're here to support you in your caring role, so you and the person you're caring for can remain at home independently as long as possible. And I think that's the bottom line. And whatever support you need to do that, we're happy to see how we can guide you through it.
Right. Oh, I have one more question, Rodney. If the family have familiar direct care staff that they use either through their home care package or, you know, whether it's council services, whatever it is. So they've got people who are familiar to the family and the person living with dementia. Can they still access additional funding to use those same providers to increase the amount of care for a short time?
They can, if that provider is registered with us. So there are certain guidelines now, and because it's all aged care and disability has all been linked, and there's certain guidelines as to what providers need to provide as a service. But if they are, then yes, we can. And often if they're an NDIS provider, generally we would have them linked with us, or we'd get them linked with us. It's more difficult with facility-based services and care, but within home, we can, and look, we do what we can to assist. So, you know, there's always ways. It's not always possible, but we'd always endeavour to provide you with consistency, because that again is too important not to have.
Great, thank you very much. Last chance for questions for Rodney. We've got a couple of minutes left. No? All right. Sarah, do you want to wrap us up? Are you happy to?
No, thanks so much, Rodney. It's great to know that these services are available, and I think the way you presented it, that, you know, just give us a ring, inviting people to ring, even if they're not quite sure what it is that they're looking for, I think is really reassuring for carers and also for service providers like myself. We'll be able now to share that information with people who aren't here. So thanks so much for coming along to today's session, and to those who came to all the sessions, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We will, if people don't mind, I think Elizabeth and I were thinking of putting out a little feedback to those who came regularly, and just see what people thought of the sessions. But yeah, thank you so much for your support. We've really enjoyed presenting them.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Rodney, again, for presenting today.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Bye. Bye.